towards black people, but like, I mean, more in the Bible Belt in the South, you get a lot more of that, but that's because of low education. And I don't know, it's kind of strange because when I heard about this, initially I was reading about it in the Philadelphia paper, and they were talking about it, like, they made it to seem like, yes, this is a very serious matter. And yeah, it is. It is a serious matter when these kind of things happen, where basically your students are afraid to go to school because they're not African American. And I just think that, like, okay, you have people who've been claiming racism for a very long time, and then the first thing they do to really, like, you know, in a heavy community is to basically expel and reject people. And it's kind of funny because that's kind of what some Southerners did to black people once they were freed as slaves. So why would you have this, like, juxtaposition of, like, well, we, you know, want to, you know, integrate and have, like, equal rights and whatever, but our equal rights extend to us only. I don't know, this thing about it just, I don't know, it struck me weird, because I don't understand why people, especially people who've been so, in quote, repressed by it, and I mean, even though there is some today, I don't understand why you would turn around and do it to somebody else. I won't say, like, it's unfair, it's just, it's bizarre. Like, if I wasn't allowed to go somewhere because of something I was wearing, or because of piercings, I certainly wouldn't turn around and start my own, like, group or whatever, and then say, like, oh, you have a piercing, you're not allowed. Only I'm allowed to do that. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying that, like, all people are like this as a whole, but basically it was this school who came in, and of course it was an African-American detective who came in and did this, and people seem to think that it's an okay standard, and that, like, when people, like, are Asian, they are incapable of speaking English to people. Like, they're handicapped from it. Ugh, stupid sorcerer. So I don't understand why, in juxtaposition, people will do the same behaviors. And you could say, like, I guess it's a, you know, ingrained thing. I mean, frankly, I've encountered more racism from African Americans than anyone else. I mean, I had a religious guy who was part of these new, what are they called? The New Israelites, or whatever, who basically was like, white people are the curse on earth, and you will all die. And he refused to accept the existence of Indian people. We had a conversation that led to, well, if black people are the only, you know, sacred people, then, like, what about Indian people and Asian people? And, you know, what about people like the Negritos, like, who live in Papua New Guinea and stuff like that? Are they technically the saved people or whatever? And what about, like, South Americans? And the first thing he said was, he's like, Mexicans don't matter. They'll be slaves for us. And I was like, oh, wow, this is turning out great. And then right after was followed by, Indian people don't exist. Like, they're not real. And I said, so you think an entire continent of people does not exist? It's like, yeah, they're not even, they're less than people. I was like, okay, first of all, you say that there's no Indian people, and then you say they're there, but they're less than people. And one of the biggest problems about slavery, which probably is half the reason why you rush into this, that you feel like you've been oppressed, and you rush into this crazy, whacked-out religion, is because people thought that your people at one time were less than human. Like, I don't think that makes any sense at all. Like, I mean, I know they're wacko KKK people and stuff like that, but, like, I think it's just weird to have a hate group and stuff like that, especially one that's so in such denial about, like, other races and is so clear. I mean, race doesn't technically exist, but, you know, other groups of people don't exist, only yours does, and yours is the only one of value. And when it comes down to the school thing, a lot of it was the teachers, when they talked about it, some were very, like, sympathetic to it and weren't aware of the problem, but who knows if they actually were, or were just, you know, CYA, but I don't know. Oh, he learned hell. And some of them were outright trying to say that, like, oh, well, these students don't come to us, so we don't have a, you know, we can't do anything about it if it's, you know, like, not brought up to us. Well, if you're getting beaten up by African American people, I think the last person you're going to want to talk to is another African American woman. And frankly, in the later proceedings, there were people outright saying that they had talked to the teachers, and the teachers would turn a blind eye. And, of course, this became a huge issue. And the worst part is that you have local police, you have this, like, entire school board and, like, staff of teachers who are, you know, mostly African American. And, like, when you have any group of people in one place like that, inevitably they will assume power over other people or discredit other people for whatever reason. Really? You're gonna go after Stock? Ugh, of course. Oh, 16. He just happened to hit one more. Like, oh, Domingo's not in my party. Oh, shit. I wonder who I'm gonna throw out. I really want to throw out Bruce, but I realize I can't. So, I don't know. I can't understand this, like a group mentality. I mean, it's the same thing when you get a whole bunch of religious people in one place, or you get a whole bunch of very conservative people in one place. Like, people have a natural tendency to flock to people that are like them. But the problem is that they take the positive and the negative ideals of those people. And there comes this sort of, well, since there's so many of us in one place, therefore we must be superior in this area. And that's kind of what went wrong with the world, you know, in the past like 2 centuries, is this kind of ideal, like, and it's spread, and like this school, you saw basically a microcosm of how, like, you get, you know, like, hate groups against certain people because they're different, like the Jews in Germany, and you get, like, the gypsies in Russia and Eastern Europe, and you get these groups that are basically, like, picked out because they're a smaller group and attacked because one side feels more dominant than the other. And honestly, I've never understood it. And I've never understood it, especially because you have people like in Jewish history, you have them where they're oppressed and hurt, and then not even a century later, they're, like, basically taking on slaves and being cruel like slave masters, and, like, executing people freely with no judgment who aren't Jewish. And, like, I don't understand that. It's like since they felt it, I guess they have to, like, enforce it on somebody else. And I see that in the African American community in some places where it gets like that, where they refuse to talk to police, they refuse to talk to other people, like, we only stay in our community, like, you have no business outside of it. And there is some of that kind of xenophobia in Asian culture, but it's, I don't know, I guess it's not based on hate, it's based on, like, old world styling, and like Little Italy and stuff like that, which I'm fine with. But once it devolves into, like, crime and hate groups, then I think it's time to, like, have a sit-down discussion about what you're doing. And, like, listening to, like, testimony of students, like, obviously some of the Asian kids stretched out the truth a little bit, but, I mean, as far as I can tell, it sounded a little far-fetched, but there were also some things that were really awful. There was a girl who was basically, like almost forcibly raped in school, and if it wasn't for other people in her community, she would have basically gotten raped in like a side locker area at this high school. And the worst part is that you see these groups together, and once they form this kind of bond, it becomes like, you know, like basically like African Americans versus like Asian Americans. So it's like someone draws a line suddenly, and I don't understand it in human behavior, why it has to come that way. Like, I'm not saying accept everybody for the differences, because there's some people that believe different things that I frankly don't like. But I'm not going to go out of my way to harm them, or kill them, or, you know, prevent them from getting an education. Like, all these kind of ridiculous things that are happening in the school. And I know I'm kind of ranting about the subject, but it kind of bothers me how you even find that kind of stuff today, like the Jews were in the Holocaust, where basically they were like imprisoned into death camps and put in this awful situation. But then in the Middle East, worms. In the Middle East, they're basically taking, you know, these Muslim groups that aren't even extremist Muslim groups. Like, some of them are just people trying to freaking live. And then they imprison them, put them in death camps, like, treat them essentially like Holocaust victims. And they do this with this, like, superiority, like, we are Israel, we are the Jews, this is our sacred land, like, get the hell off our land. Even though the other people have been there for quite a long time. And, I don't know, it's just, why do people who are oppressed that way always seem to turn around and do it again? And I mean, I guess they feel, like, justified in doing it back? I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things that's always bothered me. Like, I'm not a big fan of religious people, but I do have a lot of religious friends. And it's important to me to try to look past what they're doing. And in the same way, they kind of look past things that I do. And that's the importance of, you know, a society, a culture, whatever you want to call it. And I don't think it's at all fair to just say, like, well, they're Christian, so I want nothing to do with them. Now, if they're, like, shoving it down my throat and saying that, like, my lifestyle is intolerable and inexcusable, then it becomes a whole different story. I'll shun them away from me, essentially. I don't want to be around those kind of people. So, I mean, I know in a school setting and in a government setting, it's very hard not to do that. Especially when you have power. I mean, that's the most dangerous part of this, is this school board and teachers and students all had the power to essentially prevent other people from, like, getting an education or going to school. And even in the community, there was, you know, people who would spray paint things and be racist about it, like get out of our neighborhood with some sort of racist word. And it's unfortunate that it always seems to kind of devolve that way. I don't know. Also, I was sitting in Suburban Station and I was watching one of the TV things they had up, and it was like passing by and whatever, and some random person said, like, outright, like, ugh, why do they always put white people on these ads? And it's like, okay, first of all, does it really even matter? Like, I don't care who's on the ad. Like, it makes no difference to me whatsoever if it's black, white, Asian, friggin' Indian, I don't care. Like, it's an ad for something. Like, you're not supposed to look at that. You're supposed to be looking at what it does. And I think it's just like, in a way, I guess it's just like a sickness that you have to divide it. I don't know. I guess I've never really come to terms with the idea of certain things. Like, I'll admit, in some ways I'm a little bit racist, but it's not like, you know, I totally exclude any possible option from people. And in some ways, yes, I can be, like, prejudiced against certain things, certain behaviors, certain lifestyles, but I don't feel like an outward need to enforce it. Like, no matter how hard I enforce it, and how many other people I get on my side, you will never ultimately win. I mean, the problem is once you start doing things like that, someone else will help stand in, and those people will do it, and the balance of power will tip, and things will get worse. And look at New York. Like, the whole gangs of New York, and the fact that Irish, Italian, Black basically burned down the city and murdered people left and right for no reason other than the fact that there was no control and no monitoring themselves to say, like, no, we shouldn't enforce this. It basically was a gigantic drunken street brawl. I'm just going to finish this battle. I know this episode's running on long, but don't really care. Yes, I know he's poisoned. Come on, Giant. You need to get up here. Maybe he's not hurt at all. Okay, you're just weird. I don't understand why you do that. And I have no mages left. But I could probably get away with this. I don't know. I understand, though. Yeah, I just watched this thing about this black tribe who believed that white people were ghosts and that they weren't real, that they were like something to be afraid of. And it was interesting watching them because if you think of it from an ignorance perspective, people don't, when they don't know better, they often jump at decisions. And they've killed people before thinking they were like zombies and stuff like that. Which, I mean, it isn't truthfully their fault. They don't know better. But, like, for us and everyone else in the modern world, we know better. Like, I don't understand how you could know better and still do it. Like, I know there's all this psychological stuff about why people do wrong things, and we understand the science of evil. And, you know, I guess it's kind of important, but at the same time, like, there are so many people that are so poorly educated about this subject, and so many people that kind of refuse to talk about it, or someone who gets instantaneously offended by it, that it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, if you take to offense to words, there's something very wrong with your life. I guess it's that whole, like, sticks and stone things. But, yes, you have. Oh, those things. If they are what I think they are, I'm not gonna like this next battle. Yeah, let's go to the Death Tunnel. That sounds like a great place, Lo. You fucking moron. I don't know. I don't understand why at our point in civilization we haven't just created a world government. I mean, I don't understand it. Let's see what I have to do. Okay. Ooh, I got lots of good stuff here. Lots of real good stuff. Alright. We need to do member. I might get Claude. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of Claude. Actually, let me check something. Oh, come on. Why are you having problems? Oh, you went in this page? You son of a bitch. Ugh, I hate this freaking JavaScript they have on this page. Let's see who I'm gonna have. Right. Nick, Bruce, Wendy, Shade, Claude. Ugh. They really did pick like the worst party members for this. I know you don't know what I'm talking about right now, but you will. And if you played the game before, you know. I might just skip him out. Let's see. Yeah, actually. It sucks that in that I... Oh, you're poisoned. That I don't even at least get Apis. I get Sig, too. Sig blows. Give me, like, the weakest character to do it. Like, if I could have Stock, Mayfair, some party members like that, because I don't think I can change the party. I think it's like a set party. You know what, I'm just going to take Claude out. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I mean, it's either Claude or it's Roos, and I'm not... I'd rather get Roos built up, at least, because he sucks to level. Alright. You know what, I'm just going to make extra long episodes. And that's all for this episode of Let's Play Shining Force CD. With me, Morak Dias. See you later.